Bradley asked what we think the future will be like.
4 pints of Smirnoff Ice, and then the tightest Spider-Man t-shirt.
I wanted that one, though.
Sports events that mean something to us or that we've been to. I shat myself in Asda.
No.
It's alright, mate. It'll dry. Yeah. It'll dry.
I think I'd go on a cruise with Gabby Logan.
Grow up. That's disgusting.
Crazy horses.
It's Vaseline. It's Vaseline. I've got to do this bloody forfeit. Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the In Brother Words podcast. My name's Tommy, this is Robbie. If you're new around here, please spare a second of your life to subscribe to the channel. We've got loads of videos for you to catch up on. And we probably should reflect a little bit on the ones we've done, because this is the first one since episode 6 that it's just been me and you.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a whirlwind, hasn't it? So number 7 was Podjacks.
Yeah, with Maisie and Frankie.
Yeah.
Which is really cute.
That was a cute one. That went down well. Then it was your birthday, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Only one that we ever got steaming on.
Yeah. Then it was Nathan Dorr.
Yeah, which was a big one for us. Nice to see now as well that the song that he sort of came on to talk about and promote on that podcast, actually now he's obviously out and it's doing really well in the charts and stuff. So it went straight in at number 3 in the charts in the UK.
Yeah.
And it's still top 5 now. So I'm not saying we made him, but
that needs to be
you do the math.
Is it? Yeah. So then it was Battle of the Brothers. And again, really happy with how that went down, because just to give you some insight, this podcast that we're doing today, or one where we just sat together, probably takes 6 to 8 hours to edit. Yeah. So I'll come around on my day off, sit with Rob, and we'll go through things. That took... It was a good 3-4 days, wasn't it? Solid.
In terms of hours of editing, at least 15, I'd say.
Yeah, and that might surprise some people because the video is only 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
But the amount of transitions and overlaying audio to a video, because we did the sports and then commentated on it 3 days after.
Yeah.
And then all the slide in, slide out. So thank you for all the love on that video.
With all our podcasts and all our videos, if you've got any ideas of things you want us to talk about or do, or just anything really, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and just hit us up in the DMs. We're open to anything, aren't we? And we're so grateful for all the support on everything that we've done so far. So thank you for that.
And congratulations to Matt Harben, who won the Amazon voucher on that video. Yeah. Spend it wisely. Get yourself a lovely face mask or something for that. Yeah. But unfortunately, I have got to do the forfeit, and that'll be coming later on today, which I can't wait for. Robbie's not told me yet what I'm eating, because I'll probably just leave. So, stay tuned for that. So then after that was Mr. Fraser Clark last week. Again, went down so well. And that was, we've had that one planned for a few weeks, wasn't it? Because just basing it around his training schedule and stuff. But what a nice chat.
Yeah, I got so many comments like, oh my God, you love him.
Yeah, you could tell Robbie was fanboying
big time. I mean, obviously I'm a big boxing fan, so just to talk to somebody who's in the sport and has been for years was amazing for me. But yeah, again, thank you so much for him to coming on.
So yeah, for this one, we just wanted to kind of do me and you talking crap, really, don't we? Because we haven't done one in a while.
Bit of a throwback to the first few episodes.
Exactly. I think people, obviously, our OG subscribers who subscribed to us even before we had one video out, subscribed, because they like us and want to hear us chat about stuff.
I think going into the first video, I think we had 22 subscribers before the video was ever even out. So you're the original 22. You know who you are if you were there.
Yeah. I'd really like to hit 500 subs by the end of the year.
Okay.
What a lovely Christmas present that would be. So we're on 315 now. That's still way more than we
100%,
ever imagined at this point. But 500 would be fantastic. We've got 2 definite guests booked in over the next few weeks. You may know 1 or 2 of them, both of them, but even those that don't know them, they're going to be really interesting episodes.
Interesting stories,
Both of them have got really interesting stories that people are going to like. So.
And for both of them, we've got to go on the road. So it's going to be
both of them aren't from here.
In Brother Words on the road.
Where does Ricky Gervais live?
So obviously Fraser and Nathan and Mr. Wielden and Mark, they've all made the effort to come to our house, which is amazing. Not only to do the podcast, but also to come to our house is great. But so now we're sort of venturing further afield to go and have some guests from other areas as well. So yeah, we're going to be on the road, and what we'll do is sort of like vlog that slightly and put it into the podcast at the start, so we can see us getting out there. If the car breaks down or whatever, it'll all be in. I mean, it'll be raw.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so let's begin by just kind of a little catch up of where we're at in life. Then that'd be good. So what's going on with work? I've probably started a new.
Yeah, I've got a new job.
Haven't you?
Yeah, still at...
What is Greg's like?
So still at Santander. But I was previously working in the Leicester office, in the tax team. But I've now moved to the Milton Keynes office, back home, as I like to say, to the team that I was working in a few years ago. But I've now got like a permanent role there, bit more responsibility, bit of a better job as well. So I'm technically working in Milton Keynes, but obviously at the moment it's working from home potentially forever. So I'm still at home as it is at the minute. But,
how do you feel about that? What's your feelings on working from home? Because obviously my girlfriend Louise works from home and she actually really enjoys it.
Yeah,
like,
big fan.
The thought of going back makes her feel a bit anxious, and I think that's something that's shared across the board, isn't it?
There was an article on BBC a couple of days ago about all the side businesses that are going to lose out by the fact that nobody's going to offices anymore. So, for example, in Milton Keynes, pretty much everything that's in central Milton Keynes is just going to be hit by the fact there's no footfall from people who work in the offices.
It's just an office town, isn't it?
Yeah. And it was a suggestion that the government should be doing more to make people go back, to make businesses bring people back into the office. And there was somebody who commented, and it got loads of like upvotes and stuff, because it literally perfectly described how everybody feels about it. And it essentially said, so since I've worked from home, I've had 2 hours more a day because I've not been commuting. I've been saving into the hundreds a month on commuting costs. I spend more time a day with my family. In this case, it was his wife and kids, he was saying. And my mental health is 10 times better than it was before. Yes, it's really bad that these businesses are going to fail potentially because of this. But please tell me why I would ever go back. And that's so accurate. Yeah,
at the start of lockdown, we stayed open for a little bit and did Deliveroo, because we were on Deliveroo, Uber, Just Eat, blah, blah, blah. Then just wrapped it up completely for a few months. And our restaurant opened on the 24th, Monday the 24th, during the Eat Out to Help Out scheme. Cheers, Rishi.
Is it horrible?
Bit of an insight. Yeah, vile. By Wednesday night, my arsehole was about a foot wide. I don't know. Like, it's a good scheme. I completely get it. And people will be watching this saying, like, don't be ungrateful. It's business. It's getting people through the door. And I completely get that side of it. But, the overwhelming pressure on hospitality staff.
Especially if you're going from, like, having been furloughed for so long.
Exactly.
Out of form.
Yeah, it didn't help us that was our first day back. Do you know what I mean? It was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But again, we won't mention the numbers, obviously, because it's a private business. But you were telling me that you made the same amount of money on a Monday with supposedly 40% capacity restaurant as you would do on a busy Saturday in a non-COVID world.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's without a bar, because usually you'd have 5-6 deep at the bar all night on a Friday, Saturday, but you're not allowed that anymore. It's just, tables, and you book and you sit down and you don't move. Do you know what I mean? So it's crazy, really. But it's the relentlessness of it is one thing. So, like, you're not just fully booked from 6 onwards like you would be on a Friday, Saturday. You're fully booked at 12, and then at 2, and then at 4, and then at 6. So it's almost like 4 or 5 complete, fully booked restaurants,
and you're not getting any
after
break.
each other. Yeah. So I did. We opened the doors at 12, and I was stood at the door hosting until 10:30, and I literally didn't stop. And that's not. Do you know what I mean? For before anyone thinks anything, that's not, why aren't they giving them breaks? It's not like that. I decide who goes on breaks and all of my team got breaks, but as a sacrifice for that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't, and that's part of my job, and that's what I get paid to do. Do you know what I mean? But it was hard, and the only thing that I think about this help out to eat out is It's the other way around. This is how much.
Help out by eating out.
This is how much it scarred me. Like I know people who've had to FaceTime their grandma's funeral.
Yeah.
Over this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then I've got over 400 people throughout the day.
Yeah, you can't have a wedding of more than 30 people. But
obviously, there's restrictions.
Yeah.
And you know the company have done brilliant to keep the staff safe and the guests safe. But it does still make me think the logic. The
rules
awful,
are crazy, aren't they? Well,
yeah.
I went down Burton on Saturday night, first time since before lockdown.
Yeah.
And we went to the Prince of Brewers. This is like people who are in Burton, you know it. This is like biblical, isn't it? Prince of Brewers, unreal. So I was back in there for the first time.
Can I just quickly tell my Prince of Brewers story from the past? So I went to the Prince of Brewers and
we just quickly clear where it is in case you don't know where it is.
yeah, it's opposite. It's next door to Spoon.
It's like
Lord
a
Burton's.
shit house, Lord Burton's, isn't it? It's like
imagine that. Imagine a BTEC Wetherspoons. And I went in there and I was. I've had a bit of a skin condition, like a rare acne on the back of my neck, haven't I, for a while?
I don't know where the story's going, yeah.
Yeah. And so I have to have quite strong tablets. Roaccutane, is that what it's called? Something like that?
I think he played Mr. Bean, didn't he?
Yeah, so it's not as bad now, but back then, a few years ago, it was quite bad. And it meant that one of the symptoms is that it dries your lips out really bad. And I have to have Vaseline a lot. Yeah.
Luckily, he was fully stocked up anyway.
Yeah. And so like I had to apply Vaseline to my lips almost like hourly because they would bleed. They were that dry, they'd crack and bleed. It was really bad.
Yeah.
So some of my family will back me up. At one point, it was really bad. So I kept having to go upstairs at Prince of Brewers with my little bloody pot of Vaseline, like getting it out of pocket and going into cubicles and like, because it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, next minute, 3 security guards like drag me down the stairs by my arms. We've seen you doing coke in the toilets, mate. And I'm like, it's Vaseline! It's Vaseline! Right?
It's like when Neil on the in-between.
Yeah, my cock is cut!
Yeah.
And they sat me down on the chair and they were like, we're getting the police, mate. And I was like, mate, please do. Like, because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to show you this little pot of...
Imagine how satisfying that'd be, like, if they actually brought the police and you could...
Yeah, so then they were like, right, we're going to go... Wait there now with the security guard. We're going to go and review the cameras with the manager and stuff. They did it. And then eventually, like, kind of realised the mistake they've made. I'll put a picture up. I've got it here with the security holding my Vaseline the next week when I went.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, like, we found the funny side
Yeah,
after
yeah,
that. I kept going in like, mate, you got any Vaseline? You got any Vaseline, mate? Like that. It was really funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, go on.
No, but I got a bit of pseudocreme, mate. A bit of pseudocreme. Yeah, so I was in Prince of Brewers on Saturday. And, like, classic in there. It's great, isn't it? But, like, again, we walked in, me and Kirby, cousin Kirby, shout out. And just no social distancing, really. I don't want to slag him off. But if you're watching Prince of Brewer, whoever you are, I'm not slagging you off personally, but like they had like hand sanitizer and stuff like that, but it really wasn't very well like enforced and stuff. People were sort of sitting with friends and like I saw some friends in there that said hello to and stuff. Like it wasn't the best sort of social distancing.
No.
And then we went to Association Beach.
Yeah, tell us a bit about that.
Which, I mean, again, not the greatest advert for it, but it was terrible. It was
Yeah,
really
we don't want
poor.
to knock association because the last 2 weeks we've told you about a stabbing in there, and now that it was
Yeah,
shit, but
yeah. We want to make sure we can get back in when we go next
we're
time.
fans of association, aren't we? Like in
big
general.
fans. Yeah,
Definitely.
And if you want to do like a sponsorship or something, then I'm sure I can cut this bit out.
Yeah. That's cool.
But yeah, it was really bad, actually, to be honest. So what it is obviously, if you're a pub or a bar, you can open, can't you, at the moment, with social distancing. But nightclubs are potentially going to be the last thing to open, aren't they?
Yeah.
So association have done the right thing, in my opinion, which you probably would do if you own the business, which is basically turn it into a bar, right?
Yeah.
What they've had to do for that is make it look a bit nicer, because obviously this association, most people, you don't go in there till 11 o'clock and you're pissed when you go in. So decor isn't something that you're really taking any notice of. So as people would have seen on social media when they renovated it, the outdoor bit, which they now have turned into Association Beach, was a complete shithole, wasn't it? Like really bad. Yeah. So they've renovated it, and it's like they've gone for like a Love Island style sort of sofas outside. That's obviously what they've gone for. I can imagine a mood board at the start of this where they've said, let's turn it into this, and it's definitely had like Chris and Kem on it and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean, like this is what it's going to be.
Love Island, Snapchat.
Yeah, that's
like,
sort of
it's
stuff.
all like kind of pinky.
Yeah, something for the gram. Do you mean like
That's it,
there's a bit where you can go and have your photo taken behind some like red rope, and they've obviously thought, people are going to love it up here.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people out there who are going and having their photo taken and stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's so much worse than you can see it that you see on social media and stuff. I'd actually suggest some people just go up there.
This
So
is
we had
the
one
problem.
drink and left.
Yeah, we love a night out, don't we? But like at the minute, to me, it feels like a complete waste of money.
Yeah. Well, then we had one drink and
Because
then
you're
we left.
pre-drinking, but to nothing, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think when I've been out after lockdown, it's been to bars and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's been loads better, like pubs and stuff.
Mm.
So we left there and we went to Loco. Was it called the Locomotive?
The Locomotive,
Yeah. Locomotive in Burton.
Was that the same?
And
Like
that was
sit down?
very good. Very good. So because that is basically a pub, isn't it, or a bar?
Yeah.
So that was just like every other table or whatever. Every third table had been blocked off for keep a bit of social distancing. Give your name, track and trace at the door, and then it was just like table service for your drinks, and it was sound like you when you were sat having your drink, you felt like it was just a general sort of normal night out. It was really good. I'd definitely go back there, 100%. Are you going to get the blog going again?
Yeah, I am. It is in the pipeline. It's just for people who read it and stuff, because I know it was really popular before. You might think, you've had so much time to do it. Like this must have been perfect. Or this, it's not like that at all. Like you can be busy and write a blog. It's just like having the inspiration to do it and sit there and do it.
I think you should do one about like the process of reopening, because obviously you reopened on Monday, but for like a week or so before that, you were off furlough and you personally were like massive stack of regulation or whatever. And you've got to open.
That was like the most stressful 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think people would be interested to hear about like how that works and things you have to put in place and what the rules are and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
What I might do is do a blog on that then. The blog page is called knivesandthoughts.co.uk.
I'll put it up on it.
Yeah. And I might do a blog on that then, and then after a couple of weeks of it being out, do a podcast on it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was the first time I've felt like real anxiety to the point where it like physically affected me as well.
Really?
I've never ever felt that before,
Yeah.
and now it's fine again. Like so it must have just been that preparing for it's worse than being in it, because you think about the worst all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we'll do that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, on to lighter topics.
Yep.
We asked both last week and the week before about topics that you guys want us to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. I've got them down here then. So I'll start with this one came in from Dom Hickman on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Shout out, Dom.
Yeah. Why did we start the podcast and who inspired us?
Would you agree it was my idea?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, about maybe a year ago, possibly even longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was probably around the time we were in Magaluf, like last summer. So it would be my birthday last summer. I'd said, because we're both big podcast fans, and we'll get onto that in the second part of the question.
Yeah.
And we said what do you think about starting one up together with me and you? So really, it was about probably 8 or 9 months in the making before we actually put the original one out. So in terms of inspired us, True Geordie.
Joe Rogan.
Rogan.
Well, I don't know. He's my favourite. Would you say he's your favourite?
Yeah, well, Joe Rogan's like the god of podcasting, isn't he? And then he inspired True Geordie, who probably inspired us. So that's the lineage,
Circle
isn't it?
of life, isn't it?
So that would be the sort of people that inspired us, really.
What's the best podcast you've listened to? Just
Individual
a
what?
single podcast, not a podcaster.
Like with a guest, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the True Geordie ones, I like the ones where it's just him and like Lawrence and stuff, the early days, where they're just talking about their lives. But in terms of a guest that he's had on, he did one with Robbie Williams.
That's really
And Robbie Williams invited them actually into his house. They actually went and filmed it in his house. And that was amazing. That was so good. Such an interesting like life story and stuff he's got. So that was a good one in terms of a guest.
Next one was sent in by Bronwyn on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Is show jumping / horse riding a real sport?
Well, like equestrian. It's at the Olympics.
Yeah, it's a question.
It's at the Olympics, so yes, I would suggest. If horse racing's a sport, then show jumping certainly is. I love show jumping at the Olympics, by the way, because the horses like They're proper dancing, aren't they?
Proper dance.
They are. They're awesome, aren't they?
Yeah.
And what I do like about show jumping as well, similar to horse racing, is that like the horse is the star. Yes, the is it a jockey? No, it's not a jockey.
That's a good question. In show jumping, are they a jockey?
I think they're just called equestrians or something like that. So like Charlotte Dujardin, she's one, isn't she?
Not a clue.
Yeah, I think she won a gold medal at the London Olympics. But yeah, so they obviously win the gold medals and stuff because that's its ability to be able to do that. But also the horses are like really famous, so they've got like a name and their own like Wikipedias and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, which is great. And that's one thing I like about horse racing as well, is that the horses themselves are sort of worshipped. But yeah, is it a sport? If it's at the Olympics, I would say yes.
And it definitely takes like discipline, sport. You know, you got to be pretty fit, haven't you?
Oh yeah. One good thing about it actually is that there's no real age limit, is there? You know, like other sports at the Olympics, most of them follow the similar like where you would peak in your sort of mid-20s to your mid-30s. I'm pretty sure, like one of the British guys, something Skelton, I think his name was, at the Olympics. I think he was like in his 50s. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, like there's no age limit for it, is there really? Which I
No.
think is good. But yeah, I think it's a sport.
Nice. Brad, as in Bradley Wayne. Shout out Bradley Wayne
Shout
for
out
all your
Brad.
support on the podcast.
Yeah, he managed to win himself a
free hoodie and
yeah,
a
so
t-shirt.
hoodies and t-shirts. Let's talk about that. So eventually we are going to get some, in brother words, hoodies and t-shirts made.
Yeah, little update from yesterday. I actually spoke to the lady from the company, and they're sending us a mug and a t-shirt prototype ahead of, you know what I mean, like just to check that we're happy with them, and then they're
cool.
on the way.
Yeah. So once we've got them and we've got some ordered and stuff, then we'll do some competitions and things like that to give some away, and then also like people might be available for people to buy and stuff, which would be nice to support the
Shift like 500 of them and then just wrap all this
up. Yeah. So Brad, he's been a bit of an advocate for the podcast, and he's a man on the ground, getting people to subscribe with his friends and stuff, which is great. And he's earned himself a free hoodie when they finally come along. So
Legend. Bradley asked what we think the future will be like, and then he put flying cars, etc.
cool. Yeah. So what do you think to like fully autonomous cars? I mean, like Teslas drive themselves, don't they? And stuff like that.
I'm a big fan. I've sat in one. Elon Musk, for people who...
He's from the future, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know, but for some reason I've gone off him like a lot.
Yeah.
And it's made me like just be a bit with the whole Tesla thing. It shows you how important like someone's image is to the brand.
Yeah.
So, for example, Eddie Hearn, of those who know boxing, is like the brand of matchroom boxing.
Yeah,
and because you love him, you love the sport, and it actually makes you want to buy it and tune in and stuff. Elon Musk just comes across as a bit of a prat to me now. But anyway, going back to the question, autonomous cars I think will definitely be a thing. I think we'll all have them, and there will be a crossover where some people don't have them, and you know, people who can afford it will, but then eventually it'll all... So when cars first came, there were still people who had horses on the road at the same time, and there was like loads of horse deaths. Do you know what I mean? It's just a natural crossover, isn't it? I think
I almost
AI...
ran over an horse once.
Did you?
Yeah.
Why?
So I headbutted an horse once.
I headbutted the horse once.
Hit me
You
up in the
can't
comments.
you can't run over a horse. by
Yeah,
the way.
no, he almost ran over me.
I was gonna say,
let me know, because I think I would have. Let me know if you think I'd have died in this situation, right? So I'm driving back from work. It would have been like January time, so it was like dark. So I left work about 5:30 or something, and it was already dark, right? Driving down like a country lane, like near Leicester, and like I had my lights on and stuff, but basically I'm just driving down this country lane, and then right next to my window, so I'm here, the window's there, and there, like 3 massive like horses sprinted past me, and to the point where I could hear the of their nose as he came past the window. And I looked, and there was like 50 horses that had been like wild horses, in the words of Susan
Crazy horses.
They'd like got out of this field, and they were just sprinting
No way.
down the road.
That farmer or owner, whatever, is just losing his shit.
As I
at that
got,
point.
it was like a mile away. The bloke like that. And it
Fenton!
literally, the bloke like this, and the woman was crying, there was a car crash. There'd been a car crash, like a minor car crash, thankfully, which had obviously been caused by this. But yeah, like
horsepower.
yeah, I wouldn't have known that I'd hit the horse until it was already through me. Like, I didn't see the horse until it had gone past me.
That must have been amazing to see, though.
Well,
50 horses or whatever it was.
Shit
Or you're
myself.
over-exaggerating with 50 horses.
No, honestly, there must have been. No, there was definitely.
At least 49.
No, there was enough that he couldn't tell how many there were. There were like loads together. Do you know what I mean? But they were the front load that ran past me was 3 or 4, like proper, real big horses. Do you know what I mean? Let me know. I think I'd have died, particularly in my old crap car.
Bronwyn, let us know.
Yeah.
As soon as she's had the question.
Yeah, because they were going like, if I was going 30, they were going 15, 20 mile an hour probably. I don't know how fast does a horse run, but like relatively quick as well.
Yeah.
And the big things, aren't they? So yeah, I almost ran into a horse. But how do we get into that?
I don't know.
Oh, what about
artificial intelligence will definitely be a massive thing.
it was cars we were on about. So like I say, in terms of the crossover, I think that in our lifetime, it might get to the point where it's majority electric cars, maybe even majority autonomous cars in our lifetime.
Yeah.
But in 100, 200 years, if personal use cars are even a thing by then, I think it would be everybody in the whole world would have an autonomous car, and like your driving license and everything, your driving test would be completely different, because it'd be like the things would just drive themselves. So you just got to know the safety issues and stuff. It'd be loads easier to learn to drive.
Yeah, I think definitely at some point. I don't think in our lifetime, but they're going to need to use all the land possible for like housing and stuff as the population keeps going. So, and they've got this thousands of feet in the air. They're definitely going to utilize that, aren't they? So so like I imagine kind of like pods that you get in, and they just they just fly around, and you don't control them though. They're all autonomous. Yeah, that's the whole thing with the cars thing, isn't it? Like, because all the cars would be linked, through AI. You can get to places so much quicker because they know for certain you're not going to collide with someone else, because they could all be flying like 100 miles an hour because they know that they're timed perfectly, so then they just cross seamlessly, and that'll be great. I think like retina stuff will be really in our lifetime, so like payments.
Like Neuralink. What do you think to the Neuralink thing? That's the next thing like Elon Musk's working on. They've already done it on a pig and stuff now, but essentially it's like a little chip that'll go into the back of your head. You actually have to have an operation to like cut your skull open, put it in, and it'll be like a direct link between. So like now, like this is, you sort of already like a cyborg, aren't you? So like that is like part of my life basically, like this technology.
Tinder.
So the next, so the next thing is to go from me, rather than me holding it physically, just this be in my head.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that
there's definitely a lot of that already, isn't there? Like, it's weird that Elon Musk said it, but like there won't actually be, in maybe hundreds of years' time, there won't actually be any need to speak, verbally speak, because they're already got it, haven't they? Where you can like think things and it types it, kind of thing.
But what about even just texting?
Yeah.
If I sat here and I could text you what I think, and that sounds like a basic thing, but that's like, imagine going back 300 years and telling somebody you could do that, and that's only in 300 years. Imagine another 300 years, like. You go from computers to personal computers to iPads to this that I can carry around with me, and then what's the next step from that? Something you strap it on your hand. So people have Apple Watches, so that all of a sudden you don't even have to hold it anymore. So then what's the next logical thing?
I think.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I always say this. In our time, I think it'll be like, because Amazon have these supermarkets now where like you just put things in your trolley and leave, and it tells you that there's no checkouts. And it knows from sensors or whatever else what you put in your basket and what you leave with, and then that just automatically gets taken off your debit card or whatever. I think that's how life will be for everything. So I don't think you'll physically have to queue anymore. I think that you'll get on a train, get off it at another station, and just get on with your life, and that will charge you just automatically on the distance that you've travelled. That's a good. Just a really quick topic, like things that are a bit like janky now.
What's that?
Janky means just like a bit like why?
Naff.
Like
one of them.
And you sit there and you think it's 2020. What's going on?
Yeah.
For me, it's how big games consoles are. I think they're huge. Yeah. Even the newest PlayStations.
You mean physically or like popularity?
Yeah, physically. And like I bought Red Dead Redemption 2. And yeah, it's a good game and it's a big game and whatever, a lot of content. But you have to stick it in your console for an hour for it to download before you play on it. I'm thinking, we're in 2020 for God's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on?
Yeah.
Same as like queues in shops, really. Sometimes I do stand there in the supermarket and I think, what? Why? Why are we doing this?
Yeah. Why has this not been fixed yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I think there's one positive, really, that's one of the big positives that's come out of the lockdown, is that it's probably accelerated the move towards certain things. So, like, the older generation are the only reason why cash exists anymore, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the big things in lockdown is a lot of places now don't take cash. It has to be card or contactless or whatever,
Yeah.
which was going to happen anyway in the next 10 or 15 years. But that's
Bad for drug dealers, though.
Oh, yeah, big time.
So
Yeah. So that's, like, probably accelerated that. Like, the high street becoming pretty much non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's coming, but it probably accelerated that as well. There's, like, a few things that... This has probably brought things 10 years closer, do you know what I mean?
This Christmas, it'll be interesting to see. Definitely, like, the amount of online shopping is going to be record highs, isn't it? No one's going to go shopping centres and do their shopping this Christmas with the COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
The Rona.
But even, like, with, like... so it's, like, obviously gig economy, things like Uber and Deliveroo, etc. Like, well, you're interesting because you work in the restaurant industry. Like, I could see a situation where there's no such thing as a shop. Like... It's all online. Mm-hmm. Could you see a situation where there's no such thing as a restaurant there? Or
I could see it's like mainly online, but then a smaller restaurant space for like special occasions and stuff. I really, because I'm like passionate about the industry and stuff, I really dislike the like ordering on apps thing.
Yeah,
I think Wetherspoons is fine because it's like a bit naff anyway.
Yeah.
But like places like us or places like Turtle Bay and stuff where you go for a bit more of an experience. The thought of ordering on your app there really upsets me.
Yeah, I agree.
So I hope that will just be a temporary kind of COVID.
I agree. I think that no matter how much the world changes, and most of these big technological like changes, things like Neuralink or contactless, etc., like what they're designed to do is to make what you were going to do anyway really quick and easy to do, right? But for like mundane things, for like paying for stuff, taxis, like to make everything mundane really quick and easy is great. Like I'm all for as much technology in that area as possible. But one thing you would never be able to take out of like humans is the desire to like spend time with people and stuff, and and to have personal interaction. So I could see a world where we pretty much optimize everything that's mundane to the point where, like you say, you don't even have to pay. You don't have to get anything out of your pockets to pay for stuff. You don't even need to leave your house to get stuff. But people will always want to go to the football or a restaurant or a night out. Like that's a human instinct that's going to be there for years.
Because people aren't like missing sitting in a stadium and watching football. Like that's not 100% of the pie, is it? That's part of it. The main thing you miss is meeting up with your family and friends at the pub before and sitting and having a pint. And
the fact that the game's an excuse to like see people.
Yeah,
like,
it is, isn't it?
Obviously, our family, like our extended family with our cousins, there's probably 10, 15 of them that go every week to Derby and have done for years, like a decade maybe. And it's amazing. Like, what else would give you the excuse to do that every week? Do you know what I mean? But yes, I think there's always going to be live events. There's always going to be restaurants and things of that, which is nice because I think that's a real human need, isn't it, to do that?
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Good question, brothers. Tom Kerry, shout out Tom Kerry, absolute ledge.
Yeah.
Best festivals/gigs that we've been to. I'd say Muse Manchester.
Oh yeah, we went to Manchester to watch Muse.
For not just because I introduced Rob to Muse live for the first time, but we discovered Nothing But Thieves there, who then went on to be one of our favourite bands, definitely.
Yeah.
And we went to see them and everything, didn't we?
Yeah, we went there. So our godfather, Sid Pantle, Sydney Snake Hips. So he's our dad's friend from years back.
Yeah.
And he is like mega music fan and a huge music fan. Over 100 gigs a year. Like he loves it, doesn't he? He absolutely loves it. So yeah, we went with him and our cousin Jordan, who we were both good friends with. Yeah, that was a great gig, wasn't it?
Really good.
What else have we been to?
I'd say favourite festival. I don't actually go to many festivals, to be honest. We go to Sausage and Cider.
Oh yes, I forgot.
We go to Sausage and Cider every year, which is a James Dean event. Go and check that out. We're really trying to get James Dean on the podcast,
Yeah.
aren't we? Jimmy Dean.
Yeah.
Just, if you know him, please tell him, because I'm fed up. I'm borderline pestering him now. But it's not illegal to be in people's bins and that, is it? So that's really good. I went to Reading one year, but again, that was only because Muse were headlining. I only went for the day because I don't like camping. I saw Muse, I saw Elbow, I saw... so there's a funny one. So we was in the crowd, quite near the front. This was about 3 p.m. We were slowly just throughout the day trying to get closer and closer to the front for when Muse came on, right? And they were like, so next up, guys, we've got Enter Shikari. And I was like, on my phone, like, never heard of him.
Is he the one who plays for Liverpool?
I was like, yeah, okay, I've never really heard of him. Didn't realise at that point, for those that know who they are, like really heavy, like dubstep / heavy rock, like screamo at times.
No, what's coming.
So then they came on, everyone moved forward by about 30, 40 yards, right? And there was like 2 mosh pits, so like one to the right of me, one to the left, and I was like the wall separating 2. I got hit like in the face and everything. Like what? I can't remember if it was me or Jordan drew blood. Like
Second time he saw Elbow that day.
yeah, and I was just like, "What on earth?" Like, honestly, it was really violent.
That's really not
there were
my
kids
scene,
crying. Like, they were passing kids over the barriers to security to let them out because they were like getting crushed at the front and stuff.
That was mad, isn't
So yeah, it was awful, really. But yeah, really good day. And another about you were saying about Sid, Godfather, absolute legend. There was a girl coming round, obviously off her head. Everyone's off their head, aren't they, at a festival? She had like neon paint and stuff. And she was putting neon paint on her lips and then kissing people on the cheek to like give you like a, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I've got loads of time for that.
did it to Jordan, did it to me, and then as she walked off, Sid went, "Hey, what about Dad?"
Did she do it to you?
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
Yeah, she did. Sid's not a dad, but what an absolute
He was that
legend.
day,
Yeah.
We went to Dublin last year or the year before.
Mhm.
That was a really good gig, wasn't it? We
Yeah.
went to Dublin to go and see Noel Gallagher, and he was supported by Blossoms and a couple of other bands as well.
Yeah.
But again, that, similar to when we went to see Muse, and then we found a love for Nothing But Thieves. Since we went to that gig, Blossoms are probably the band I've listened to the most since then.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only thing about that was it was at Malahide Castle in Dublin, amazing, like nice outdoor venue, but it absolutely threw it down all day. Didn't I put a photo in of us? Like we looked like drowned rats, didn't we, all day?
Yeah.
But great holiday, great bunch of lads, Jim and Damo, etc. So Gambo. So that was a great gig as well.
Harrison Streeter via Instagram.
Shout out Harrison.
Yeah, sports events that like mean something to us or that we've been to.
Yeah.
I'll top it off. AJ Klitschko was definitely Everest, wasn't it?
Yeah, we mentioned that on the Fraser podcast that we went to watch that. Just a great day. We went with Pat, like our granddad Pat. We had like fully suited up. We've had a few
Put a
drinks.
picture on again
Yeah,
as well.
a few drinks before in the bars outside.
My suit's rascal for that day, by the way.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting choice of drink inside the venue for me. So a lot of people might not know this, but I'm just one of them classic like millennial sad boys.
I
I
call
can't
them
drink
basic bitches.
I can't drink Carlin basically, or
I can't,
lager or
I'm the
whatever.
same, yeah.
So I usually go for something like, again, this is classic, like a darkie or something like that. But obviously in Wembley they had beer essentially, well that was it, or they had like Smirnoff Ice. So I was like, oh okay.
The options were beer, red wine, or Smirnoff Ice.
So I asked for 4 pints of Smirnoff Ice. And he was like,
Took a mortgage out for it.
He was like, so they only come in like, I think it was like 275 or 300ml bottles. I was like, yeah. I was like, just get 4 pint glasses, plastic pint glasses.
And use as many as you need.
Yeah, use as many as you need. That's fine.
It was into the 30 quid as well.
Yeah, it was 38 quid, I think it was, 37 quid.
For 4 pints of...
4 pints of Smirnoff Ice.
That's mental.
And I drank 3.5 of them just as AJ knocked Klitschko down for when he was at the win. And then the rest of it just went up in the rock. Oh, no,
obviously, we were at Wembley when Derby got promoted in
2007.
7. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was really good. So we would have been like, 11 and 12, 11 and 13, something like that age.
And then unfortunately we went to Wembley last year when we lost to Villa.
Yeah, I've seen them lose there
Good
twice.
picture actually outside Sainsbury's local. So there's a Sainsbury's local outside Wembley
Yeah.
for pre-drinks. And obviously, thousands of people in there. And the way they did it was like the second you walked through the door, you joined a queue. So it was like a snake system through all the aisles, wasn't it?
No, yeah.
And you just picked up what you wanted on the way through and then took it to the till. So mainly everyone waited till the booze, didn't they? But because the queue was so long and it was just so mayhem in there, wasn't it? People were just getting things off the shelves, eating them on the way round, and then just leaving the empty pockets everywhere. It was not. It was. I think I'm not proud of this. Because I thought, right, we're out all day. It's like hot and sweaty. It was a hot day.
Oh, yeah, oh my God.
So I got some deodorant, didn't I? And like put just a squirt on and then put it back on the
and
thing.
it was a roll-on as well.
It was a roll-on. No, genuinely, it was a roll-on. Yeah. And that's awful, really, to think about, because someone probably bought that.
Yeah.
I was there for Liverpool-Barcelona.
Oh, yeah.
So Liverpool coming back from 3-0 down and won 4-0. That was the only night, I was in the Cop End, that was the only night that I've ever said competes with AJ Klitschko.
Go on and take him quickly, Ricky!
Honestly, unbelievable. Just ridiculous.
Yeah. What about ones you didn't go to? Like, just...
How long have we got?
No.
Every sporting event we've not been to.
So I was at uni and I was like massively in my overdraft. I was having the conversation the other day about gambling addiction and gambling problems within the young men in this country. I think it's not spoken about enough. And
I bet you're telling her it isn't.
But for me personally, I used to gamble a little bit when I was at uni. Not a lot. It wasn't like a problem I had, but like a bit. And weirdly, I gambled more when I didn't have any money than I do. I haven't had a bet now for years when I've got my own money. But in those days, it was a case of like, I have this amount of money to live on at uni. So for me to be able to do anything big, so go on holiday, like afford nice Christmas things or whatever, I had to like basically win big at things.
Yeah.
So cast your mind back to November 2015, Tyson Fury against Klitschko. If you remember at the time, he was massively written off as he wasn't going to win. And I was completely adamant he was going to win, like completely believed in him. Yeah. And I didn't have the money at the time, so I'm not particularly proud of this, but I put £100 on him to win against Klitschko at 4.5 to 1.
Nice.
And then watched that fight on a live stream. And my girlfriend at the time, I was in her bedroom, and she was up doing like working late, and I was just like sat in the bed watching it. And
did she know you had the bet on?
No, because I didn't want to like tell her about it. I told her when I won, obviously. Then he won. Amazing. Like, I was happy for him anyway, just as a fan of it. And I was crying my eyes out because I won. So returned £550, which was massive for me. It's huge. I was so happy for him, and then that was like him winning the world title for the first time. He sung in the ring to his wife Paris at the end, and I'm just sat there like bawling my eyes out.
You dosser.
Yeah, so he's gone away to, it's a football stadium in Germany. Klitschko's the favourite, and he's just beating him all over the place, and that was very, very high on my like great sporting memories, even though I wasn't actually there myself.
So Matt Dilks. Shout out Matt Dilks, cousin Matt Dilks. He wants to see Robbie do a round of Would You Rather. So we're gonna set this up as cruise, marry, shag. So go on a cruise with one, marry one, and do the dance with no pants with the other. Okay. Jessica Ennis.
Yeah.
Stacey Dooley. And Whitney from EastEnders.
I think I know what I'm going to do. It's a toughie between
Do you shag them on the cruise?
No. So so it's a year-long cruise around the world, but you don't have to like sleep with them and stuff. It's like you just got to spend every day with them basically. Yeah. And then one is like just a one-night job. Yeah. And then the other one is obviously marry him for years and stuff.
1 minute job for you.
Yep. It's a no-brainer on the marrying.
Go on then.
Stacey Dooley, 100%.
Okay.
I love Stacey Dooley, and she's such a lovely person. She's got a nice dog as well. I'm well up for that, definitely. Yeah. Massive fan of Jess Ennis, and she's an ambassador for Santander as well, so we've got lots to talk about. So the biggie is deciding between her and Whitney off EastEnders. I think I'd have to go on a cruise with Jess Ennis, just because, like I say,
all the stories,
things we could talk about. She seems lovely. She could probably get me into some sort of shape. I mean, like she does fitness routine and stuff like a PT, sort of a year-long PT cruise with Jess Ennis. I think that sounds good. And then I could have a right good go on Whitney from EastEnders.
Yeah. Okay. And the last one, Rachel Riley.
Yeah.
Gabby Logan and Fiona Bruce.
Okay. Again, I think it's a no-brainer on the marry. Rachel Riley, I think.
I really dislike Rachel Riley.
Do you?
Yeah. I think she's a gobshite.
Okay.
But yeah,
okay. Go for a
marry
again, mathematician. Great horse. Yeah, so
would love to give her a right good consonant vowel, consonant.
Yeah. Yeah, so probably marry her.
Yeah.
And then was it Gabby Logan or
Gabby Logan and Fiona Bruce?
I think I'd go on a cruise with Gabby Logan.
Okay.
Again, probably got some quite interesting stories. Again, maybe help me out sport-wise. She's been around the BBC sport world for a while, so I bet she's got some good stories about like Shearer and stuff like that.
And take Fiona on an Antiques Chode show.
Yeah. Yeah, Fiona Bruce. I think there's a lot of people out there of all generations that would definitely like to have a go on that. So yeah.
And then finally, Olivia Taylor via Instagram. Have we got any embarrassing stories? Quite broad. Sure, you've got a few. Have you got any dating related ones?
Yeah. Well, I've got a good dating story, but it's not. I don't know if it's embarrassing. It's just like a weird date I went on.
Go on then.
So I met this girl on the dating app Hinge. So if you've not used Hinge, go and check it out. It's very good. It's a bit like Tinder, but like you can put a bit more information about yourself on there.
Yeah.
So
put all your convictions on.
Yeah, exactly. So I met a girl on there, and she was, for context, she was like from the Philippines, right? But not like, she wasn't from the Philippines recently. She'd like come over to this country when she was like 5 or something. So she looked.
She came
like
over here when
Filipino.
she was 5.
Yeah, she came over here when she was 5. So she looked like Filipino, but she spoke like perfect English and stuff.
So she'd only been in the UK 7 years when you dated her.
Yeah, so we went on a date in London, which was potentially a funny story because she like stood me up because she went to the wrong crazy golf place.
Oh no!
She like rang me and she says, "Oh, I'm here. I'm underneath the stairs." I was like, "There ain't any stairs."
Like Harry Potter.
No, there weren't any stairs where I was.
Oh.
She went, "I'm come and find me underneath the stairs," and I was like, "You're definitely in the wrong place."
Oh no!
And this was Swingers Crazy Golf in London. Where
there's more than one.
Yeah, and I was in the one in Oxford Circus, and the other one is underneath the Gherkin. So that's about like 40 minutes travel time away. So she'd gone to the wrong one.
That's a test.
Gherkin.
I was going to say lateness on like.
Oh yeah.
Events.
Well, imagine me. So like,
Yeah.
Swingers Crazy Golf is like, it's a big place for like dating. So personally, I'm happy to say it. That's my go-to date.
Yeah.
Like if I'm taking you to play crazy golf, then
you're looking for a hole in one in a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I then had to go and sit in Swingers, full of couples on dates. Like I look like I've been stood up. People are looking at you thinking, bless him. Yeah. So I think I had like 3 double vodka lemonades, just sat on my own. Eventually she turned up, and we got on and stuff, and that was like I think that was on the Wednesday. So at the risk of sounding like a Craig David song, I'd met her on Monday, just stopped speaking to her on Tuesday, went to play crazy golf on Wednesday.
Yeah.
and then on Saturday she invited me to go to Cambridge, right, which is where she lived.
Yeah.
So we went on this day out in Cambridge, and I don't want to get like too detailed, but the plan was for me to stay over, right?
Yeah.
That's the story.
Yeah.
So it was warmer. The day was warmer than I'd anticipated it was. Right, it was a really hot day. It was like touching 30 degrees day last summer, and so we basically just walked around Cambridge. It was good because I'd never been there before. So we got to like go and look at one of the colleges, and we just walked around the place. We went to this like park thing and like went near this like sort of like little brook water thing. It was really nice. We were just like mooching about, like talking and stuff. And then, but I was just really sweaty. Like we both were, to be fair. It was just like so hot. But I'd only brought enough clothes to like for like the next day. Right? Yeah. So she was like, "Oh, let's go back to mine, get changed and have a shower and stuff, and then we can go out again later." That was the plan. Didn't work out like that. So we got back to hers, and I was like, so I need to tell you about where she lived. So she lived in student accommodation. So she was a student at Cambridge Uni, but not Cambridge Uni, like the shit one, whatever. I don't know what it's called. Yeah. It's not Angela. I think it was Angela Ruskin or something like that. Yeah. I don't know what it's called, but wait, I need to Google this because I need to get the story properly. Yeah, I was right. Anglia Ruskin. Don't know who she is. I think she's in the Shadow Cabinet. Yeah. And so she was at uni there. I think she was a nursing student or something. She lived in like a 6 or 7 bed house, student house. Because it was the summer, all the other 6 beds had been Airbnb'd out, like rented out individually, the bedrooms, right? So never been to this house before in my whole life, right? Walked in, complete shithole. Like I've lived in 3 different student houses, so I can't say much myself, but like it was terrible. You know, like when you've been to our house sometimes at uni and it was just crap, right? Yeah. So she was like, "Oh, have a shower and then we'll get changed and stuff and go out." So I had a shower, and honestly, it was the worst shower I've ever had in my whole life. Like, you know, really like filthy, disgusting bathrooms. Like, imagine the worst possible one you can. Like, there was
you feel dirtier on the way out, don't you?
Yeah, there was a towel, like a floor mat put out.
If we ever do a Room 101 Part 2...
Remind you to put that in.
You know, like when people have like rubber mats in their shower to stop them slipping and that. Grow up, that's disgusting.
No, this was like a bath towel to stand on, but it was like drenched wet. It was like grim. And everything was all mouldy in there. It was vile. So I had a quick like shower in there, went back into a room, and then I was like, I haven't got any clothes like to wear because I've only got the clothes from like what I'm going to wear tomorrow. And she was like, "Oh, it's all right. You can borrow one of my brother's t-shirts." Because I've got one of my brother's t-shirts here. And I thought, "Oh, blinder, that's a dream." Turns out her brother is like small. Yeah. Right. No, I think she was like.
How old was he?
She was 20 and he was younger, but also like, I say she was Filipino, so was he. And like he was small, right? Yeah. I didn't know this until she gave me the t-shirt. Right? Yeah. So she gave me a t-shirt. And it was so tight. It was really funny. Like it was a Spider-Man t-shirt. I'm not 100% sure. I think he might have been maybe 15, something like that, but also small. So I was stood there in my pants, and then the tightest Spider-Man t-shirt you can possibly imagine, like really tight. And then she was like, "Oh, should we watch a film?" So we watched. People might have seen this, might not. It was a Bollywood film. God, 3 hours long.
Why? Did she choose it?
Yeah, and it was called. Let me check it. I think it was called 3 Idiots. Right. Again, if you haven't seen the film, check it out. It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It won loads of awards.
Really?
It's a huge film like in India.
Okay.
Really good film as well, because it's about these 3 guys who they meet at university, and it tackles issues like pressure on students from their parents in India, and like people commit suicide in it, and it's a really funny film, but all the topics that it touches are like really like meaningful and stuff. But we only managed to watch like half of that. And then I never saw her again after this. So, like, I never got to watch the second half of it.
All right.
So, there was a guy I used to work with in Leicester, and I told him this story, and he'd seen the film. So he, like, told me the second half of the film while we were at work. So we watched that film, and then we watched or a bit of it. We watched The Purge. Have you seen The Purge?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I've not seen it. I know what it is.
Yeah. So I was laying in bed in my pants, a Brothers Tight t-shirt, watching The Purge, right? And then I was asking her, I was like, "So who's it?" Because people kept coming in and out of the house, like probably heard 3 or 4 different languages of people, like.
Yeah.
And I said, like, who was in the house? Like, she said, I don't know. I said, could you tell me now for an absolute fact, like, who is in this house? And she said, no.
That's weird, isn't it?
How weird is that?
Mm.
Like, there was like 6 bedrooms, and they were all been individually Airbnb rented out to random people. So like, I went to the kitchen to get something out of the fridge in this like tight t-shirt and pant combo, and there was like some random like Brazilian bloke there, like, and I was like, "You right, mate?" And he was like, he didn't speak English. And I thought, this is such a weird situation, isn't it? Like, how unsafe is it, really?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then she said, "Oh, like, we were in bed," and she was like, I'm a really good singer," she said.
Oh no.
And I was like, "Oh yeah."
Usually, if girls say they're a good singer,
You know, she was.
not.
To be fair.
Really?
Yeah. And she said she liked Westlife, which everyone does, don't they?
Yeah.
So instead of going out, we ended up ordering food in instead.
Mm-hmm.
From it was like a shithouse KFC. So it was like boneless chicken pieces. I think I had mashed potato, boneless chicken pieces, sat on her bed eating. How weird is this date?
Jesus Christ, yeah.
And
I'd rather be single forever.
yeah, and then we were in bed, and she sang all of Westlife's greatest hits back to back. So she put it on her like Spotify or something, and then I was this late there, and she was singing them to me.
Eating KFC chicken, singing Westlife.
Watching Bollywood film in her brother's t-shirt.
Flying without chicken wings.
Yeah, so that was...
There's a pun there somewhere.
So that was one of many weird dates that I've been on. And I didn't see her again.
We'll have to do a whole podcast on Robbie's dating experience.
Yeah. What was the question?
Embarrassing moments.
Oh, yeah.
I shat myself in Asda. I had a dodgy tummy. I was working at DHL, and like all day I hadn't eaten or anything because I was like, you're just not quite sure. But then 6 p.m. came, I finished work, and I thought, I think I could hold something down, and I went for beans on toast. And I didn't have a car at the time, so I got a taxi to Swad Clock Garage. Yeah. There's obviously Asda petrol station and the shop. So I went in there, got my basket, got some milk. Love a glass of milk with beans on toast. Loaf of bread, tin of beans, some butter, and then suddenly it was like thunder cracking. It was like my stomach, and I was like, oh my Christ, that's bad. Like major stomach cramps.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I dropped my basket just there in the middle of the shop, and just as I was like running out of the shop, because Mum only lived like round the corner, I only had to run down the street to get to the shop to get home. And as the doors like slid open and I left, it just happened.
Oh.
Shut myself. And that was the first time I've ever done it. First and last. I've never wet the bed. I've never wet myself. I've never done... Do you know what I mean? But I was ill, basically, in a bad way. So then I had to run with, Matalan black trousers full of dung. And by the time I got home, it was like... I don't want to be too graphic. Sorry if you're eating, but like it was on my shoelaces. I remember just going in the bathroom, standing in the bath, and just like getting undressed. I was ill. I was shaking. I was sweating. I was poorly. It looked like an incident at an Angel Delight factory in that bathroom. It was awful. But then after that, surprisingly, I did have beans on toast. I felt all right afterwards. Yeah. So it's embarrassing because I'm telling you on the podcast, but obviously no one else knew about it, so there wasn't too much humiliation.
Yeah, I've got a good story from when I was at uni that's a bit embarrassing. So I was in first year, and usually in first year, like in the first few weeks, you only go out with your flat, really, like just all your flatmates. But I'd been invited to go to a party like with the Sheffield Hallam lot, and I was going with Brad Ambleton and Harry and people like that. So I was like, getting ready in my flat to then go and meet those guys, right?
Yeah.
So nobody else in my flat was going out. It was just me. So I'd got ready. I had 2 carry bags with Copperberg, and then I think it was Bulmers, the red Bulmers, right? So I'm ready to go. I order a taxi, right, from City Taxis in Sheffield, and you get a text saying like your cab has arrived or whatever. And where we lived, the road like finished there, and our flat was like here, and it was like a driveway, I suppose, to the accommodation, but it was like quite a steep hill, right? And it was really, really bad weather. Like, it had been snowing loads, really icy, really cold. It must have been like very early January, I think, sort of time. So I get this text, your taxi's arrived. Like, it's at the end of this road, sort of thing. It was Red Lane, it was called, in Sheffield. And so, right, see you guys, see you later, at the flat. Went down to the bit where the hill was. And anybody who watched the hypnosis episode, those brown brogues I had on in that, when I said that I had like fuck all grip on, I was wearing them, right?
You've gone.
I looked down the bottom of the hill, and I can see a few cars like parked up, like waiting, a couple of taxis like waiting for people with the lights on because it was dark, right? So I've gone down the hill to go to the taxi and just completely stacked it, right? Both legs, whack that, smacked my head on the floor. Both of the bags I was holding, carrier bags, they went like fully over like this, right? So I've like fell over and gone like that, and as it's come round, all the Bulmers have smashed.
Oh, no.
So it's like everywhere, right? So I was covered in snow, Bulmers, and I'd fell into some of the glass, so like my arm was like cut as well, right? And my watch had snapped.
Jesus, that's just like
So it's just
completely
like
done you.
A watch snapped, right? So obviously I'm embarrassed because the taxi driver's watching.
Yeah.
And I thought, what am I going to do here? I would go back and get sorted, or just get to Brad's and deal with it there.
Yeah.
So what I did was, I picked up my watch, I think, and that was it. Just left the rest of it there because it was like a write-off.
Yeah.
Took my shoes off, right? Because I couldn't get down the hill without taking my shoes off. So I had my shoes in one hand, my broken watch in the other. I was covered in Bulmer's blood and like snow.
Yeah.
And I'd walked on my socks in the snow to this car, opened the door, and there was a child's baby seat in the front of the front door of this taxi, right?
Yeah.
And the bloke was like, no, Chinese bloke, right? And he was going, no, like that to me. And I was like, oh, it's all right, mate. It's just a bit of Bulmers. It'll dry up. And I moved the baby seat out of the thing and like sat in his car with the baby seat on my knee.
Yeah.
With my shoes and a broken watch.
Yeah.
And he was going, no. And I was like, no, it's all right, mate. Honestly, it'll dry. And then he went, no, me no taxi. And it wasn't the taxi driver. It was a random bloke.
Oh no. It's all right, mate. It will dry.
Yeah.
It will dry. That's hilarious.
So it wasn't the taxi man. It was just a guy, just a person.
Did your taxi not see it all along?
No, the taxi must have been the car behind. But when I got out of that situation, I thought, oh, okay, like this is terrible. So this was all in the space of 2 minutes of leaving the flat. So then I walked back up to the flat with like wet socks, holding my shoes and a broken watch, and my arm was bleeding.
God.
So they've just waved me off, and then I walked back in like that. It was really embarrassing. And then they like cleaned me up, and I eventually did go out after.
Yeah.
I was just a bit late, but yeah, that's a good story.
Amazing. I just thought of just one really quick one. I was in Ralston. You know, you have like classic FIFA nights and house parties when you're younger and that. And I was getting the bus from Ralston to Swad. And there was me and an old woman stood at the bus stop. You know what? Like, they look at you as if you're going to punch them, don't they? Little old ladies and that. So I stayed my distance. And a bus came, and I was looking for an Arriva one. This Midlands Classic came, and he went to, like, pull up, and I went, like that, like, as it's driven off, I just did. I wanted that one, though.
Oh no! Really?
I felt awful.
Yeah,
I went completely red. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sad." I forgot she was there. What a selfish bloke. I was just like, "No, mate, I don't want it." I've got to do this bloody forfeit then, haven't I?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So,
I've just remembered it, and my heart sank.
It's a good job we did. So in episode 10, Battle of the Brothers. If you haven't watched it yet, go and check it out. But spoiler alert, Tommy lost. And as part of losing, he has to do a forfeit. So we put it out to you guys for suggestions. And one great suggestion, which we had a few times, was whatever it is, make sure he eats it out of Tupperware. Because if we hark back to the Room 101 episode...
Mm-hmm. I've got a borderline phobia of Tupperware. Yeah. And I really don't like it, to the point where, like, if someone gives me something in Tupperware, I won't eat it.
If someone gives me something in Tupperware, I won't eat it.
Cold mushy peas in Tupperware.
Oh my god, no! I don't like hot mushy peas.
This is a Tupperware. This Tupperware pot has been in circulation in this house for around about a decade now.
I use that for my cooking in year like 10 and 11.
Oh, so a lot more then probably. Yeah. So if anybody's thinking, oh, that's not
is
fair,
it
it's a clean
stained?
one. Yes, it is stained, and it's actually bean stained,
Which
makes it better.
You use that for your beans in the
fridge?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh my god, put it there.
I put a.
Also, why have you used that much?
That's a full tin.
Yeah, but I'm not eating a whole tin.
No. You can just eat like 3 mouthfuls. Yeah. So I'll put a full tin of mushy peas in here, and then I put it in the fridge for about an hour before Tommy came, just to make sure they're definitely not cold, because we don't know eating lukewarm ones, do we? So this is what you get when you try and challenge me to a sporting game.
Oh my god, look at it on the lid.
Bon apple teeth. I think three heaped spoons. I think is fair. Make sure we get a good shot of it. There you go. Go on, show it to the camera what you've got. Look at that. That's lovely.
Look at the stained Tupperware.
Yeah.
Oh my Christ.
It stinks, doesn't it?
Really bad.
Put it near the mic when you spoon it out, because I think people are going to want to hear it squelch. Yeah.
Right. It's really nice veggie soup.
That's not a heaped one. It's a cream.
Oh my god, that's awful. That's even worse than I thought.
His eyes are watering.
Right. I can't do it anymore.
What?
I can't do it
It's
anymore.
just this one and then one more spoon. Just swallow it. Right, like a full one.
Rob, I can't.
That's what you sounded like.
I can't. That's vile. That is absolutely vile. Thanks for that.
It reminded me of a bush tucker trial, yeah, the eating ones.
Oh my god, that is disgusting.
There we go, guys. There it is. There's a forfeit.
Things we do for this
I know, yeah.
podcast.
I hope you enjoyed that.
So thank you so much, guys, for watching. Please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment as well, because your feedback really does mean a lot. That I can still taste it. It's still there. It's like clinging onto the back of my throat.
Spoon.
Disgusting.
God, it's vile, isn't it?
Thank you all so much. I've been Tommy. He's been Robbie. You've been great. See you later.
See you next week.